In this video I will be revealing to you my artificial intelligence crypto portfolio. A portfolio in which I expect to make staggering gains from. I'd be quite shocked if that isn't the case. Now this video has been a long time coming, but I'm glad we gave it a bit of a delay, as in the meantime what transpired between the whole Sam Altman OpenAI Microsoft drama just refortified to us this: that decentralized AI will undoubtedly be the biggest narrative next cycle. And the fact is very few have caught on to this. In fact, they're just beginning to. Meaning if you just have any type of exposure, you're incredibly early, and will likely make incredible gains to go along with it. What we'll be doing in this video is fine-tuning that allocation to what we think will be certain winners over others. But again, just from a macro point of view, if you just have any type of exposure, you're already off to an incredible start. The Web3 gaming narrative we're also very bullish on, but you see with gaming, even though I guess it's still quote-unquote crypto, I almost view gaming as a distinct category from all of this other crypto stuff. So for example, I think Web3 gaming has the potential to go on its own secular parabolic run, and almost decouple from the rest of crypto. So still very bullish on that. But with AI, I feel I'm ready to say that this'll be the next narrative of crypto, the layer ones of the 2021 bull market. If I'm wrong about this, you can clown me all you want in the future, but these are decisions you have to make right now on what's going to be what. You cannot afford to be a bystander and expect things to come to you. And so if that is the case, could you imagine having gotten into different L1s early like Solana or BNB Cardano Tron or Avalanche Polkadot near Algorand Phantom, and so on? It kind of didn't end up matching that Cardano didn't have smart contracts, or Solana was a SAM coin that went down, or Polkadot parachains were a failed experiment. All of these critiques come afterward once all these projects went up thousands and thousands of %. And so I think we're going to see something very similar with decentralized AI in 2026. That half of this stuff doesn't work, and is complete garbage. But that comes only after they once more explode thousands of %, which is of course what we're trying to front run right now. Okay, with that out the way, let's get into the portfolio, where I will most importantly be telling you along with each project whether it's still worth getting into them, and what sorts of returns you can expect, because some of them have ran quite a bit. Oh, and also hit that like and subscribe button. I know if it's your first time watching, you're kind of already hooked, but it's what we've been and will continue to do around here. Okay, so because our overall goal is exposure, we're going to do exactly that. Remember, this is still a very new asset class, and many of these projects are about to undergo their first bull. And I don't usually approve of this, but I think it'll serve us best here. And that's the spray and pray method. Meaning diversity. We're going to place multiple bets. I don't like this method because I usually think you're better off doubling down on where you have conviction, which we'll also be doing on those projects we like most. But a little diversity, I think, in this situation will do more good than bad, so we'll be using that. So first up we got Bittensor, and this'll make up a pretty fat chunk of the portfolio. Throughout this bear I was casually making review videos on different crypto projects I was looking at, and on that list was Bittensor. But what happened was TAO got to its critical level of $100, and I realized, oh man, this thing is about to make new highs and enter price discovery. And so I ended up making almost an emergency type video on Bittensor, basically saying exactly that. This thing is about to enter price discovery, and I need you to know about it right now. And that ended up transpiring. It smashed the $100 level and got to over 300, so a 3x. Now if you want to know more about TAO, then go check out that video, it'll still really help you. But here's one thing I need to say. During this run-up where we kept printing green candle after green candle, many were amazed how Bittensor kept going up even though it hadn't been listed on any major exchanges at the time, and was one of the less covered projects in mainstream crypto media. And the answers of why were reasonable. That TAO has a very scarce supply with 87% of tokens locked up in staking, meaning only 13% possibly left to be traded. This is definitely true, but won't hold up forever, as once futures gets introduced, new sell mechanisms will be in play. Also, the aggressive PA could be due to big exchanges like a Binance swapping to have a supply of TAO tokens to put up on their spot listings. But one of the main reasons I feel TAO did so well is because I feel if you learn what Bittensor is, you almost can't afford to not have a position. The vision is so speculative and important that it truly really is almost like buying Bitcoin when it was a few $100s. By no means am I saying Bittensor is the next Bitcoin, but it still has that type of effect. If distribution and monetary value had a baby, it'd be Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin and AI had a baby, it'd be TAO. That's what I feel happened. That as price went up, people are like, wait, what's this thing? They do their research. They realize they have to have a position. price goes up even more, and the cycle repeats. Whether Bittensor pulls off its vision is yet to be determined, but again it doesn't matter, we'll worry about those things after. As far as getting an allocation, this thing was quite heated, going up over 500% in less than a month. So a bigger correction could be due. But note that first, a lot of your favorite big crypto investors and content creators did not get a position on this early. Even my entry isn't the greatest. I FOMO'd and back here around the $80 level in this pump. So there's many waiting for a pullback just to get some sort of allocation in. And so we may not pull back that deep before a next leg up. If we're playing market caps, I think a dream entry would be $500 million or $100. I don't think that'll happen, but you never know what crazy thing occurs, so I'd keep my eyes on that. I think you'd have done extremely well if you pull off an entry between $120 and $180, so a $600 million to $1 billion market cap. The $1 billion and below is where I'd be paying extremely close attention to if you have no TAO holdings, but again we may not get that. Now, I did say in my previous Bittensor review that I'm looking at $5 billion, and if you haven't figured it out from my tone so far, that might be a bit of an undershoot. But hey, I'd rather be conservative than overzealous. That said, as long as nothing implodes realistically and still conservatively, $10 billion seems more and more likely by the day, which is why I stressed that $1 billion level and the possibility of pulling off a 10x. And if we apply our AI narrative being the next layer ones and how TAO is one of the main projects, then all of a sudden could a $20, $30, $40, $50 billion plus valuation be on the horizon? Well, a lot of the passionate community members seem to think so, but right now all our job is to keep it realistic and plan our buy targets. We can pleasantly move our sell targets up when it's time. Okay, with Bittensor out the way, the next two I won't spend too long on, as we've mentioned how bullish we are on them, I'd say a bit too many times already. I don't want to give off maxi vibes because trust me, I'm far from a maxi of anything. I'd sell these projects in a heartbeat if I see something come out I don't like. But the projects I'm talking about are Render Network and Akash Network. So Render deals with distributed GPU and Akash cloud computing. We made 2 passionate reviews on them already, get all the details you need from there. But with Render, even though it has been flipped recently coincidentally by TAO, it still has a lot of recognition in the space as sort of being the go-to AI crypto. And so again, with that conservative approach, I'm hoping we see 5 all the way to 10 billion on this thing. Which, if that is the case, sitting at a 1.2 billion market cap, you can work out the numbers there. 1 billion would be solid to get an entry if you don't have one already. But if we get at that $2 level, could be a real sweet spot. And with Akash, this one has done very well recently. I'm not the biggest fan of the team, but the product is solid. I'd be extremely happy with a 2 to 5 billion market cap, but that higher end may be a bit of a reach. 200 mil for Akash could be a solid entry for those looking to get in. Now, these next 2 projects are extremely sound and respectable, being filecoin and arweave. We haven't made review videos on these yet, but the idea is that with artificial intelligence and how data makes up a majority of what it is, it just doesn't make sense for this AI data relationship to be mediated through centralized entities like a Google or Microsoft, which by the way are spending $50 billion on just data centers for AGI. But that's where the decentralized counterparts like a filecoin and arweave come in, and perhaps even storage. Now, this thesis isn't the most exciting, but it's clean and simple to comprehend. It'd be very cool if developments with the filecoin or arweave team were actually made around this. But I will say this one has the most potential if it takes off. Meaning, if this actually turns out this way, where artificial intelligence starts using these projects, then there really isn't any limitations, are there? So definitely worth a punt. I think the question you have to answer is how much conviction you have in this particular notion. So if you have a lot of conviction where they end up making the biggest parts of your AI portfolio, then fair enough. Where I know Arthur Hayes and a couple other big names like Vinny Lingham are all in on this idea. But also, if you feel you just don't see it, then that's fair too. For me, again, with that spray and pray diversification method, these will be making up a decent part of my AI portfolio, because I also just like these projects in general. But speaking of spray and pray, we got the OG projects, I guess you can call them. We got the Singularity Nets and Ocean Protocols, Fetch.ai, the Graph, and so on. And on a personal level, I will be allocating to these projects, but a small percentage to each. They're just a go-to in a way. I feel those that have limited knowledge on this sector will FOMO into these once AI takes off. And by no means are they bad, but as we discovered earlier this year, after these absolutely popped off for big gains, is that they're not the most AI thing out there. They all definitely have pivoted their approach to become more entrenched within AI. I really like the moves Singularity and Fetch have made, but for me I'm just going to keep it at having simple exposure. Okay, but now we get to the real exciting stuff, the part you've been waiting for, the real degen sort of thing. This especially is where the spray and pray thing applies, because each of the following projects have outrageous potential. Even the possibility to flip Render and Bittensor and become the #1 artificial intelligence crypto project, but also on the other side tremendous risk as well. Each of these projects will be getting 2 to 5% allocations, where I'm either ready to ride them down to 0 or up 100x. Okay, first we get qubic, so this project is very interesting. It's founded by Sergey Ivanchuglo, one of the main guys who created IOTA. Put simply, it's a layer 1 that many are touting as the next Caspa. I am not one of those. It'd be way too early and irresponsible for me to do that. But even I have to admit it has some real killer potential. Put simply, it's a proof of work layer whose mining can be leveraged for AI training. And a lot of people are paying attention to it, and the community is developing quite profoundly. They're really in on this thing. Orai is another one, and this one I actually like, and it may sound crazy, but it's an AI-powered oracle where with existing smart contracts you can't introduce AI. It just doesn't work like that. In fact, this is the premise behind the major argument about why crypto and AI can't mix. For those that believe that the two just don't mesh, it's not possible. But oraichain kind of solves that, or at least they hope to, and are the major project in trying to tackle this matter. Oraichain can help smart contracts access external AI APIs, because it does make sense that smart contracts could leverage the help of artificial intelligence. We just didn't have the means to before, but we now possibly could. So a very interesting one I'd sharply keep my eye on. Next is autonolas, ticker symbol olas. And this one has first off garnered quite a following behind it. People are quite passionate about this project. It's gotten to a $100 million market cap without a major exchange listing, and is premised on decentralized off-chain autonomous services with some paramount AI agents to make this happen. But people find the tokenomics not the best, where the founders got a hefty 35%, which is quite a bit to say the least. But unlocks would begin in 2026 if that makes you feel better. And then some other quick fire projects are Octaspace, which focuses on cloud computing. Ollie is good, Mosaic is good, but super high risk has to do with yield strategies. Again, this whole sector I expect to do very well. Any type of exposure is more than anyone you know. Think about it, do you know anybody in your real life that knows of Bittensor? I highly doubt it. I guess the only question is how nice of a person you are, and if you'll let them know. That said, give yourself a pat on the back if you made it this far. It clearly isn't luck. There's a reason you know these things and others around you don't. You're putting your head down grinding, so I salute you for that. You deserve everything coming your way. To stay ahead of the game, of course, subscribe to the channel. We'll continue dropping content like this. Sign up to one of the exchange links below to perhaps buy some of these artificial intelligence crypto, and I'll catch you next time.